Hi, everyone. So Saturn is moving into Aries and it's going to be there for approximately the next 90 days or so before it retrogrades back into Pisces, where then it will move itself back into Aries again for the next approximately 2.5 years. So the next 90 days are going to give us a good sneak preview as to what the energy is going to be like once Saturn ultimately moves into Aries and stays there. So when Saturn is in Aries, it's a really good time to take a risk. So if you can't find your way, in other words, then it's a good time to just make your own way. So I'm very excited about Saturn moving into Aries. So I'd like to try to capture the energy for about the next 90 days to see if we can get a sneak peek of that sneak peek. So I'm going to start by rolling an Astro House dice because I'd like to see if there's a certain area that Saturn wants us to be working in, or you should check to see where Saturn is in your chart because that will tell you the house that is really going to be affected by this move. But let's start by rolling. So we have the 11th house. And the 11th house is the house of blessings. So this is really good to see this here because when I think of Saturn, I think of, here's the example I use when I explain Saturn. It's like if the teacher leaves a classroom for a few minutes and then comes back into the classroom, the kids that are still sitting there doing their work are the ones who are going to get a gold star from Saturn, the teacher. But the kids who got up and ran around the room because the teacher wasn't in the room, those are the ones who are going to get detention or demerits or whatever from the teacher. So that's the analogy. Whatever you've been up to when Saturn moves into Aries, the teacher is going to reward or punish whatever it is that you were doing. So in other words, it's you reap what you sow when it comes to Saturn. So because we have the house of blessings, I love that because this means that we're going to be blessed because of all the spiritual work that we've done leading up to this point. So hopefully that all makes sense. But let's get started on the tarot. I have 4 tarot decks here, 3 of which I will use for clarification. So let's see what comes out. So we have the Ace of Swords, 5 of Cups, 2 of Swords, 2 of Cups, Ace of Wands. Underneath, 9 of Cups, 3 of Pentacles, King of Cups, Queen of Wands, and the Emperor. Underneath everything is the 3 of Cups. I love seeing this 3 of Cups underneath everything because it's such a celebratory vibe. So again, it's this feeling that when Saturn gets here, Saturn can be really good news for people who have been doing the work. And Saturn can be really bad news for people who have not been doing the good work. If we equate it back to the teacher coming back into the classroom and seeing which kids continued to do the work and which kids were running around. So it's just an easy analogy. It's a little silly, but it gets the point across, I hope. But for you, this Saturn moving into Aries feels like it's going to be a really prosperous time for you. I'm seeing a lot of good energy on this table, but we'll go through it one by one. So it feels like as we're entering into Aries moving into Saturn, with the Ace of Swords and the 9 of Cups here, it feels like you have been very clear about something that you're trying to manifest. So maybe you've been working on something. Maybe you've been working on your own spiritual growth. Maybe you started a business. Maybe you've started being very clear about the love interest that you would like to manifest in. You're very clear about a manifestation though. And it feels like with the Ace of Swords that you've been using both your intellect and your intuition, because I see that with the 2 of Swords. You're using both to figure out what it is that you want. For many of you, I feel like this is a love reading because we are seeing the 2 of Cups here, but this could be any kind of partner. It could be a business partner. It could be a family member. make it make sense for you. But I feel like for many of you, this is about a love partner. And it also looks like it's going to be about you having to choose the right person for you. But I like that you're coming in very clear about what it is you want, because our manifestations can come in a whole lot faster if we're very clear about what our wishes are. And I think that because I'm seeing a choice here in lovers, it feels like you have done enough work in the sense that you were the child still sitting in the seat doing their work when the teacher left the room. And that work that you were working on was your karmic relationships and understanding your resentments and your triggers when it comes to these relationships, and knowing that the turmoil and the conflict that was between you and whoever these karmic relationships were was meant to be your lesson. And so it really feels to me like you understood the assignment and you started getting very clear about what it is you don't want and not repeating patterns. So you're being asked to really focus on who made you regret the most and who was most cooperative. So in other words, this idea of, again, about the students who one was running around the room, the other was sitting in her chair doing the work. That's what this is giving. There were some relationships that really disappointed you because you thought they were going to deliver something that they never did. And you end up feeling like you had to just get boundaries around this person, or maybe you felt like they were using you for certain things. But then we have this dichotomy of, this is the person who disappointed me, but this is the person who really helped me, who was there for me. So in other words, it doesn't even have to necessarily be specific people, but it's you being clear about what that looks like. What kind of relationship is going to let me down? And what kind of relationship is going to work with me in a cooperative way? So you're being asked to really focus on that. As Saturn moves into Aries, you're being asked to really be clear about who disappointed you and what that relationship looks like when it's a good relationship, something that feels more like you're working together, a long-term relationship. So, but I do feel like your challenge is there's a person in your energy who's showing up as a King of Cups. I want to jump ahead a bit because there's a different person here showing up as a Queen of Wands. These are two different people. So don't pay any attention to the gender because it has nothing to do with it. This is just clearly showing me that this is representing two different people. Your challenge is going to be in deciding between these two options. And so as I was just saying, there's the person who disappoints you and there's the person who wants to work with you. Someone who wants to have a successful relationship, a stable relationship. This Two of Swords is telling me that you're being challenged to really look at this person who's showing up as a King of Cups, really do a deep dive, meditate, use your intellect and your intuition, as we already said, to really look at this King of Cups person who you think is the person you want, who you think is the person you want to be in your life. But be honest with yourself. If this person has caused you any sadness or bitterness or uncertainty about what your future looks like, then there's a really good chance it's not your person. So this is why it's saying be careful about being clear about who or what it is that you're choosing. Because the message that's coming through here with the Two of Cups and the Queen of Wands is that there's a person out there, maybe someone you already know, it's going to be different for everybody, but there's certainly a person out there who's better suited for you, who's going to be more of your Three of Pentacles than a Five of Cups. So if this King of Cups has already let you down in some way, then this is a message that this is not your person. There is someone else out there who's going to be more healing for you. It's not going to be toxic. It's not going to be abusive. Whatever this was for you, whatever this Five of Cups was for you, make that make sense. But it definitely appears that there's a different person who's meant for you. And that's what the cards are very strongly telling me. But this, again, with this crescent moon and the Two of Swords is, again, reminding me to really use your intuition. And the Two of Cups is saying, what really makes your heart sing? And who do you have a spiritual connection with? There's an inner knowing that will come through here about which one of these people is best for you. And even if there isn't two people currently in your energy, although for some of you, it appears that there already is, just knowing that this person has already let you down, I know that there's a better person suited for you. And that person will be coming once you release this other person, because you have to make room for this other person. So I love this potential outcome for you, because this does tell me that you've chosen the right thing. By the end of this 90-day cycle that we're talking about, before Saturn retrogrades back into Pisces, this is you taking this new beginning with someone else. And this Emperor energy is telling me it's very spiritual, it's very stable, it's very structured, it's organized, it makes sense to you. It doesn't leave you feeling confused and lost and lonely like a 5 of Cups. It feels structured, it feels good, it feels like you can understand it, and it's something you can really wrap your head around. So this Ace of Wands energy is really almost giving me this idea, especially because we started with and ended with 2 aces, and with the crescent moon in between here with the 2 of Swords. It feels like there's a real need for you to just be silent and go inward for the next 90 days and really determine this. As we said, there's a dichotomy here. There are people in your life who make you feel sad, and there are people in your life who are going to make you feel safe. And I just got that word safe off of the Emperor. So it's really asking you to get very aligned with what it is and who it is that you want in your life. But let's start clarifying. So this is really interesting. And because we started with the House of Blessings and we're talking about Saturn, it does make me feel like you will be blessed because you've done the spiritual work, because you're doing the meditative work, and you're really getting clear about who has not been right for you in relationships, and you're breaking relationship patterns. And because you've been doing the work, that when Saturn, the teacher, comes back into the room, this really does give me the impression that you're going to be blessed with a person who's going to make you feel safe, the person that you have always wanted in your life, but it seems like up to this point, you haven't been able to really lock that down. So, but let's see, the Ace of Swords and the 9 of Cups are clarified by the King of Wands, the 8 of Cups, and the 8 of Pentacles. So the 8 of Pentacles is that card of doing the work. That's the student who's still sitting at their desk when the teacher walks back in the room. And the King of Wands with the 8 of Cups is really showing me that you're detaching emotionally from the people in your life who disappointed you in some way. You're being very clear about what you want and what you don't, which is really, really good when the teacher comes back into the room. The 5 of Cups and the 3 of Pentacles is clarified by the 2 of Wands. That's that dichotomy we were talking about. There are people who make you feel sad, and there are people who make you feel safe. And those are 2 separate paths. And this 2 of Wands is confirming that. The 2 of Wands is a change of plans. You're changing your plans from this type of relationship to this type of relationship. Then we have the 8 of Swords and the 2 of Cups again. So again, this is saying this is a change of plans from people who make you feel small and limited and stuck in this 5 of Cups energy, and really thinking about the partnerships that are more cooperative. We have the 2 of Cups showing up here twice now with this cooperative energy, which really makes me believe this is a love reading for most of you. So the 2 of Swords and the King of Cups is clarified by the Empress, the Knight of Wands, and the 4 of Swords. So the Empress energy is really showing me your expansive spiritual work, which is pointing me right back to this 8 of Pentacles, that you've gone through a massive spiritual transformation and you're ready to move this forward. And so is Saturn moving into Aries. That's also ready to move you forward. That I think that once you do the meditative work, which is what we were talking about, with this 4 of Swords, this is you going inward, going silent, as I said, to really think about what it is you want. Get very clear, because once you're clear, it will be easy to release this person so that the universe, so Saturn, the teacher, can give you that gold star in the form of a person who makes you feel safe. So the 2 of Cups and the Queen of Wands is clarified by the Knight of Pentacles, that hard work that you're doing with the 8 of Pentacles. the Knight of Swords, and the Devil, which I'm going to flip over. So what this is saying is to keep moving forward. Keep moving forward. The Knight of Pentacles and the Knight of Swords are both about movement. And one is a little more slow and the other one is very rapid. But I think the point with these two knights coming together is keep moving forward in the hardworking way that you do and let go of attachments. This Devil card is here reminding you, if you stay attached to a relationship that keeps you in a Five of Cups, that keeps you in this resentful or bitter or sad or grieving or confused, whatever that is that this person made you feel, if you stay attached to that, then there will be no room for the new person to come in. So that's the work that still must need to be done. Yes, when the teacher comes back in the room, when Saturn reappears, that's when they're going to notice you're doing the work. But what is the work you're doing? Are you working on detaching with this Eight of Cups and the Devil? If you're working on detaching, then your blessings will come in. The Ace of Wands and the Emperor are clarified by the Four of Pentacles. That's that card of releasing, what we were just saying. Then there's the King of Pentacles and the Three of Pentacles. So we're wrapping this up with the Three of Pentacles. And this is what we're saying, that cooperative energy, that cooperative relationship, the person who's going to make you feel safe. There are no two better cards in the deck than the Emperor and the King of Pentacles if you want a love relationship that's going to make you feel safe and stable. We got this Four of Pentacles here reminding you to release these fears and limiting beliefs. But the Four of Pentacles is also a very stable energy. And we have the Three and the Four with the King of Pentacles. This is very clearly guiding you towards this new person because it's the energy of this idea that Saturn really wants to bless you for the hard work that you have been doing. Wow. So that is your reading for Saturn moving into Aries, at least the sneak peek for the next 90 days. But I would like to pull a chakra card because I'd like to see the energy of our chakras for the next 90 days as well. And if there's any chakra that we need to specifically be working on. So the solar plexus we're getting with evasive. So you can see that this solar plexus, hopefully you can see this, that it's kind of like a pea green color, which tells me that there's not enough light coming into your solar plexus. I would like to see this a more bright, vibrant yellow, like sunshiny color. And so I feel like if we work on your confidence and work on your solar plexus, that this will really help you to release this person who makes you feel small and limited and allow this Queen of Wands and Knight of Pentacles type energy person to come into your life. And so if you're interested in a free Reiki healing for your solar plexus, I'm going to link one in the description and in the pinned comment. That is yours. You can have that anytime you want. But also in the Raise Your Vibe in 5 book, there's a whole section for the solar plexus. And I'm just going to open randomly to one page. So this page is one that deals specifically with the solar plexus chakra. And the exercise for the day says turn off all screens 60 minutes before you go to bed. That's a really good way not only to get silent with yourself. If you fall asleep watching TV or if you fall asleep listening to podcasts, it's a really good idea to maybe just for one day to not do that. Give yourself that time to really just meditate, get quiet. We talked about getting silent because not only will that help you figure out the direction you want to move this in, but it really very much helps your self-confidence and your solar plexus to let that light in. So there's a couple of things you could do right now. You could either click on that link for the free Reiki healing that I'm going to put in the description and in the pinned comment. And, or also just go to sleep tonight 60 minutes before you would normally, or go to bed tonight 60 minutes before you would normally fall asleep and get silent and get very clear and send all of those thoughts out to the universe. Because Saturn wants to bring you the perfect person for you, someone who's going to make you feel safe. So that is the reading. That's our sneak peek for the next 90 days. So will you please let me know how this was resonant for you? Consider subscribing to my channel if you like my vibe, and we will do this again sometime. Thanks, everybody. Bye.